All right, everybody, welcome back. Ready to dive in? Today, we're going to try to unlock the secrets of technical analysis, right? You want to make sense of all those charts and squiggly lines.
Yeah, it can seem intimidating, all those charts and indicators.
That's why we're here. We're going to break it all down, plain and simple.
Sounds good.
So, when we say technical analysis, what are we even talking about here?
Basically, it's like looking for clues in the past, like a detective, to try and figure out what might happen in the future.
Okay, so using past market data to try and predict future price movements?
Exactly. We look for patterns, trends, signals, all those things to try and get an edge in the market. And it's not just for stocks. We can use it for currencies, commodities, even crypto.
So you're talking about clues? Does that mean charts play a big part in all of this?
Oh, charts are key. Charts are like our financial storybooks.
Storybooks, huh? Interesting.
Yeah, they visually represent how prices have moved over time, and by analyzing those movements, we can start to see some interesting things.
Okay, so walk me through this. What kind of charts are we looking at?
Well, you've got your basic line charts, pretty straightforward. They just connect the closing prices over a period of time. Easy peasy. Then we have bar charts. These guys give you a bit more detail. They show you the opening, the high, the low, and the closing price for each period. But the real charmers, the ones that paint the most vivid picture, those are candlestick charts.
Candlestick charts. Are those the ones that actually kind of look like candlesticks?
You got it. Each candlestick tells a story. A green body means buyers were in control, pushing the price up. Red body, sellers were in charge, pushing it down.
So longer the body, stronger the push, right?
You're getting it, see? Now, you start adding the wicks on those candlesticks, and those show you the high and low prices within that period.
So it's like a whole language you got to learn just to read these things, but that's just the chart itself. How do you make sense of all the ups and downs?
That's where indicators come into play. They help us cut through the noise and spot potential trading opportunities.
Indicators. So these are like what? Tools in a detective's toolkit.
Exactly. Think of them as our magnifying glass or fingerprint kit. One of the most common types is trend indicators, like moving averages. They help us smooth out the price action and see the overall trend, whether it's up, down, or sideways.
So it's like if the price is above this moving average, things are looking up, right? Like a snowball effect, gathering momentum.
You got it. Then we have momentum indicators, like the RSI. This one tells us if a stock is getting overheated, meaning it might be due for a pullback.
Overheated. So like if a stock is running too hot.
Exactly. Imagine a car running at max RPM. Eventually, it needs a break. That's what the RSI helps us spot.
So it's like finding those extremes, right? But what about these patterns everyone always talks about? Like head and shoulders or double bottoms. Are those like actual shapes you see on the charts?
They are. They're patterns that emerge from the way people are buying and selling. They can be pretty reliable signals, especially when confirmed by other indicators.
Okay, so let's break down a couple of those patterns. What about head and shoulders?
So head and shoulders is pretty much what it sounds like. The price goes up, forms a peak, that's the head, pulls back a bit, goes up to form another peak, a shoulder, pulls back again, goes up one more time, but not as high as the head, another shoulder, and then,
It breaks out.
exactly, it signals a potential reversal, a shift from bullish to bearish sentiment.
And what about support and resistance? I hear those terms thrown around a lot. What do they mean?
Support and resistance levels are like those invisible barriers that prices seem to bounce off of. Support is the lower barrier, the floor, where buyers tend to step in, and resistance is the ceiling, where selling pressure usually kicks in.
Got it. So support is like a safety net, and resistance is what, a glass ceiling?
You got it. Prices can test those levels multiple times, and if they break through with conviction, that's a strong signal.
Conviction. So that's where volume comes in, right?
Exactly. Volume is like a confirmation signal. High volume on a breakout suggests strong conviction. Think of it like this. If you see a few people running out of a building, it might not mean much. But if you see a whole crowd rushing out,
Hey, you better pay attention, right? Something's going on. So this is fascinating stuff. But let's step back for a second. What's the underlying philosophy behind all this? What do technical analysts believe?
at the heart of it all is this idea that market action discounts everything. All the news, the rumors, the fears, the hopes, it's all baked into the price movements.
So the charts, they're like a reflection of mass psychology.
You could say that.
Yeah.
And since human behavior tends to repeat itself, so do patterns in the market.
So you're saying that history can repeat itself, at least in the markets.
To some extent, yes. And that's where technical analysis comes in. It gives us a framework for identifying those recurring patterns.
It's like a roadmap, not a crystal ball.
Right, precisely. It's about probabilities, not certainties. It's about managing risk.
This has been eye-opening. So, before we wrap up, what's the key takeaway you want our listeners to remember about technical analysis?
Remember that charts are a visual representation of the battle between supply and demand. By learning to read the language of those charts, the candlesticks, the indicators, the patterns, you can gain a deeper understanding of market psychology, and that can help you make more informed trading decisions.
So it's about seeing the story that the market is telling.
Exactly.
Awesome. This has been great. Really appreciate you breaking it all down for us.